Reds, this is the weekly show from Reds Down Under, and this week's guest is Wayne from the L Files. He's a massive Red, and he lives in Adelaide, and he's actually just became a member of the team here at Reds Down Under. He's going to be an assistant producer, and he's going to help me basically just do a lot of the legwork for making this podcast. So we absolutely love him, and we hope you do too. Like, subscribe, comment, review, do all that stuff that you need to do. It makes a massive difference. Enjoy the pod.
This is the Reds Down Under podcast, the best place to follow the Reds in Australia. Enjoy the show.
We are the Reds Down Under, and this is our podcast.
Hello and welcome to the weekly show at Reds Down Under. Liverpool have played their first game of the Premier League season, which we've all been waiting for. And Tom, I'm your host. I'm a Scouser living in Australia. I've been here for 6 years. And if they'll let me, I'll stay forever. And my guest this week is a man that you would have seen fairly often on Reds Down Under. It's Wayne from the L Files. How you doing, mate?
Pretty good, Tom. Pretty good. Glad to be back on here again. Got lots to talk about tonight.
Loads to talk about tonight, mate. We have got so much stuff to do tonight. Before we get into that, thank you to Red Boat Ventures, who are our production partner. And when I say production partner, when we get in the podcast off the ground, they were like so brilliant with like loading us some of their kit and just generally supporting us. So thank you to Adrian at Red Boat. You've been amazing on this journey so far. So thanks for being with us. Massive thanks as well to the man sitting here. You don't have to say anything back, Wayne, but the L Files have been a huge supporter of this podcast ever since we started and we started chatting with Wayne. He's been a huge supporter of us. So like, I don't want you to say anything back. I just appreciate you. Thank you very much. You're an absolute legend. On today's show, we've got loads. We're going to talk about that Bournemouth win, because wasn't it interesting?
Oh, far out. What a way to start the season.
Bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Obviously, if you've seen social media, I watched it probably still drunk from the night before. It was a bit of a disaster for me.
Probably?
Yeah, probably. And I tell you what, the hangover was kicking in just as Semenyo scored that second goal, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about our fancy football league that we've got now at Reds Down Under. I think we've got like 43 teams in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge.
And I'm gutted. Well, I'll tell you why I'm gutted soon. Then we'll be looking ahead to the Newcastle United fixture next weekend, which is going to be an absolute doozy. I'm absolutely sure. And we've got an interview that I did with like a good friend of mine. He's a Newcastle fan based in Melbourne, and he's going to give us his perspective from the Toon end, because it's a big game and there's a certain player who might be coming back and forth between the clubs. So we'll see on that one. And then we're going to finish off with a little bit of a special section. We're going to talk about captains. We've been asking on social media who your favourite captains are, what makes a great captain. So we're going to be talking about that today. But Wayne, before we start on Bournemouth, I'd love to ask, what have you learned this week about the Reds?
Well, okay, I'm going to take us back down memory lane at a time when, Tom, you were probably just a twinkle in your daddy's eye. So on this day in 1988, Liverpool re-signed Ian Rush from Juventus. So as you know, Rushy went to Italy. Didn't really work out to him, to be honest. I think he was a bit homesick. Came back, basically as a living legend, scored another 139 goals for us. And obviously he is our all-time top goal scorer with 346 goals. But yeah, what a player. What a player he was. Unbelievable. Probably the best finisher and poacher and goal scorer, and so much more actually that I've seen. He was a complete striker. Brilliant player.
And
Tom, what have you learnt this week?
well, I was going to say, before I tell you what I've learned, I remember a quote from Ian Rush when he talked about his time living in Turin. And he said it was like living in a different country. So Rushy. He's still pulling up trees, lad. What an ambassador he is for the club,
He
eh?
is amazing, amazing
Prop,
man.
proper legend. Knew where the goal was, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, this week I've learned that it's gonna be we're gonna need time as a football team. We are gonna need time. I think that the Community Shield and the Bournemouth game proved that. And look, I'm like all these Reds. Like, I'm really excited about what's gonna happen this season. But look, we've got to be honest with ourselves. It's gonna be a tough one. Let's talk about that Bournemouth game.
Yes, let's talk indeed.
First reactions.
Relief. Relief. It was probably my first reaction. Definitely. But, highly emotive game for obvious reasons, for a lot of different reasons, but one very important reason. And I think maybe we'll probably talk a little bit more deeper about this, but probably a lot of us maybe not necessarily forgot, but maybe didn't really fully appreciate what this might mean for the actual players out there. Not just for the fans, but for the players themselves. And I think we forget that it's only been just over a month, really, maybe 6 weeks since we lost Diego, and obviously his brother Andre too. So highly emotive game, and I think it was probably a stark reminder to us that these players are gonna have to play through this grief. And but yeah, I guess sense of relief, but highly emotional game. I think I could say that most of us experienced every single different emotion in 90 minutes watching that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talking about the emotion, I mean, we feel what we feel, don't we? Here, we're so far away from there. We feel what we feel here, and it was powerful. It was powerful. The hangover probably didn't help, to be honest. I was probably a bit overwhelmed, but it was overwhelming. And I mean, look, the cut mosaic and that, they do it right, and it looked stunning. And Salah, the moment with Salah at the end of the game, where he was there with the fans, and something really struck me about that, Wayne, was
Oh,
he was there, and they weren't singing about Mo Salah. They were singing about his mate, but it felt like they were singing for him. It felt like they were singing to show Salah that they love Jota, and
yes.
it was a really weird moment I felt with that, because you could see Salah was obviously upset by it, but was comforted by it as well, and
Yes.
a really bizarre thing that I don't think you get in many other forms of life, mate.
No. I know this is going to sound strange, but I think it finally sunk in at that moment for me personally. Um, just seeing, I guess, Mo like that, you used to seeing this almost godlike human playing, out of his skin at his age, and I guess to see him in that raw state, it was hard. But I think, like you said, it was a healing moment. And I think, not saying it was closure, but I think he personally needed that, but I think maybe as fans we also needed it as well. So it was a good thing. It was a good thing. And as hard as it is to watch, I completely agree with what you're saying. I think it was a beautiful touching moment between the fans and the player, to share in that grief. And there might be more moments like that throughout the campaign, but I think it was probably the first time properly that maybe Mo as an individual maybe got to do that with them. So yeah, and we can all. I hated the fact that the cameras were in his face, but by the same token, I'm kind of glad I got to see that personally because that was good for me personally as well. But yeah, highly emotive, incredibly touching moment.
Yeah, absolutely. But before we move on, talking about the situation with Jota, which is obviously still there. Chelsea won the Club World Cup, and the players have decided that they're going to donate part of their winnings
Yes.
to to the Jota family, which is absolutely unbelievable. And to be honest, like, you'll hear me slating Chelsea throughout the season because I hate them. I hate them just as much as I hate Man U, right? And that's a lot. But no, fair play to Chelsea, fair play
Yeah.
to those players, and obviously Neto's a big friend of Jota, so
Yes.
I'm sure that has a lot to do with it as well. Let's talk about the game, Wayno,
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
an
Wow.
interesting. It was always going to be an interesting game. We did talk last week
Mm.
about how we thought the game was going to go, and Liverpool in moments looked great. Let's talk about the handball.
Wow. Like, goodness me, how much more blatant can you get? And look, and I don't think it was a red card offence. I don't think it was that clear cut that Ekitike would have been on through on goal. I think it was still a bit too further, maybe too close to the centre circle. But how can VAR be so quick to turn that over, like within seconds, like saying no, there was, it just, I don't get it. I really don't. It was a definite handball. And look, it might have, it potentially could have been a red card. I think it might have been a bit harsh to be a red card personally, because just judging where it was. But the fact that they dismissed it so quickly just, yeah, blows my mind. And, it wasn't the only decision this weekend that we saw, which was controversial. But yeah, come on, first game. Come on, what's going on? It's same problems. Same problems.
For me, I have no doubt in my mind it's a red card, because if Ekitike touches the ball because the player doesn't handball it, I think it's
Yeah.
Smith. If Smith doesn't handball it, Ekitike touches the ball next.
Mm.
Now, I'm not saying it's guaranteed he goes through and scores, because there's it's a
Yeah.
big bit of the pitch he's got to get there. But if Ekitike touches that ball, no matter what, Smith is behind him, and Smith's then again in a position where if he wants to take the ball from Ekitike, the chances are he's going to have to go through him to get the ball. So for me, it was a red card. I couldn't believe it at the time. I just think you're going soft, to be honest with you. Let's talk about Ekitike. Let's talk about Ekitike, because
Wow, man, he I'm a big softie. It happens when you get to my age. He's been brilliant. He has literally hit the ground running at this club, and I think we have got an absolute gem in him. And if we had a little bit more depth on the bench, potentially, I probably wouldn't be as worried about him just being our main striker. But I think he was fantastic. He's just, and look, I know a lot of people say his goal. Look, let's be honest, his goal, he kind of made it himself, and he had a little bit of fortune because he got a nice, kind of ricochet. But I think he took it so well, and I know a lot of people said his movement reminds him of Torres. Um, I think actually his movement reminds me a lot of Thierry Henry. Actually, he's a little bit taller, got that more lankiness kind of style about him. But no, he's fantastic. His link up play, his ability to hold up the ball. He said something interesting. Just I think it was yesterday too. Just about he said he was warned about the intensity in the Premier League, and he said it's a real thing. He said by about 60 minutes he was cramping up. So he'll adjust, but he's been amazing. He's been brilliant, and I really hope he can continue this kind of form. And he's so young too. So yeah, really happy with it looks like money well spent.
yeah, I think he did remind me of Torres. Like, I'll be honest with you. I know we romanticize these things, but because he's got that blonde hair and the way he sort of carries himself, he did remind me of a Torres. And to be honest, if he's the player Torres was, then we have some number 9 there.
Yeah.
We might not need another fella from Newcastle, but
No.
I mean, like a night of stories, wasn't it?
Oh,
You know,
so
look,
many.
we don't have to go too much into this because I think we're both very much on the same page here. Racism has no part in our game.
No.
It's abhorrent,
No.
and the fan who racially abused Semenyo, absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
And I hope they throw the book at him. To be honest,
Mm.
I
Yeah.
hope they throw the book at him.
Look, I think, as I said, I just want to caveat this by also saying, likely he did say it, but it's alleged. It's still being investigated, obviously. You know, I love to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. But from what I've read, the guy has been known to do similar stuff as far as, you know, causing trouble. And I'm not trying to pull out the disability card or nothing here. I also hope that, yeah, he gets what's coming to him, but I also hope that someone also puts an arm around him and say, hey, mate, this is not cool. So what's going on here? Let's educate the guy, eh? Let's say there's a better way to do things, and that's definitely not the right way. Credit to Semenyo. I thought he handled that really, really well. I actually thought both clubs have handled it really, really well. And I was really pleased to see, you know, that it's not there's a narrative out there that it's not, you know, Liverpool fans, it's just one bad egg. And look, let's be honest, every club has them. It's anywhere in life, you're going to get a bad egg, right? Doesn't matter where you go. But, yeah, good on Semenyo for keeping his class and dignity and, you know, doing the right thing about it. Yeah, amazing play and good luck to the lad too. But, yeah, unsavory incident, especially, you know, is never a right time for that. Sorry, but of all the days for it to happen too. But yeah, let's move on because it's not it's not a nice topic, that's for sure.
No, it's not a nice topic, is it? We have to talk about it though, didn't we? And you're right, it is alleged at this point, and we will see what happens with
Yeah,
that, mate. Semenyo was fantastic. The Reds scored two really nice goals in the first half. Cody Gakpo cutting in on that right foot. It's that sort of classic move, isn't it?
beautiful.
After the first goal, that TK score, where he gets a bit of luck, but good players get luck, don't they?
Oh, they do.
Um,
You know,
you know what I mean?
we could have scored a couple of more too. So and yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you then, Tom.
No, that's all right, mate. Yeah, no, we could have scored a couple more. Vert went close. You know, there was a couple of moments there. Obviously, Bournemouth come back and they get the first goal. It's hard for me to criticise Virgil van Dijk, but there is a consistency here, and this isn't me jumping on the bandwagon. Look, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm jumping on the bandwagon because I love the player.
Mm.
There has been a consistency with Virgil van Dijk that he is a couple of yards deeper than the rest of his back line. And I don't know whether that's strategic and a tactic that he
Yeah.
will in some way play like a sweeper. But it's caused us a few problems a couple of times against a team with pacey wingers because if your fullback's higher than your deeper centre-back,
Yeah,
there's a gap there.
absolutely.
And that's what happened for that goal.
I guess it's kind of bringing us into maybe some other things too. I know we've seen a bit of it in pre-season as well, where we were probably open for counterattacks, as you said, especially against pacey teams, and ones that you know they can play right through the middle sometimes, and we saw it a few times. I think it's two things. I think we're missing certain players in that side, especially in midfield. I think Gravenberch, sorry, will probably plug that hole a little bit. But I think it's also just a bit of players also getting used to a system, a newer system, and maybe also just tweaking that. You know, Arne's Splot's a pretty smart guy. So I'm not too worried. I'm not necessarily sure that it's a specific Virgil problem because if I'm honest, Kanate's positioning was terrible as well in that. But they were exposed at times, and as I said, the midfield wasn't really giving them protection. The second goal in particular, where Dom was pushing high up, and I think even Gomez probably shouldn't have been that far advanced. We didn't necessarily need to be. We were still 2-1 up, so probably a little bit more caution there. But I think that will come over time. And as I said, Dom gave away the ball, tries high risk moves, and then they hit us on the counter as well. So yeah, look, I'm not too fussed. It's the first game. It's a long season. We've got this young Leone in as well. We've got a few more midfielders, one coming back from suspension as well. Kirkes obviously had probably a bit too over enthusiastic. I think he's just trying a bit too hard, but it's his first real, proper game for us, and I think that is a long season ahead, and if he shows like where he was last season, he'll be good. And Frimpong as well is getting used to a new league. So yeah, I think we might ship a few goals this season. But I think that stability will come back. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, and we'll talk about how we might set up against Newcastle a little bit later
Yeah.
when we talk about that preview. And look, Mo Salah gets another first game goal of the season, which he always tends to do, doesn't he? And I mean, Federico Chiesa, fantastic, like, because at that moment, that was the match-winning goal. It was huge. Like, I was bouncing around the living room, and that one woke me up, and just a brilliant moment for a lad who obviously tries really hard, and it sounds like he's actually really happy just to be there.
I think so. I think, look, a lot of people, it's just us in general. We tend to write off players a bit too soon. Chiesa's a quality player, and he has been. He's a very good footballer, very smart footballer, and his biggest problem has always just been fitness. And in England, it's a very intense league compared to Serie A in Italy. So if we do keep him, and I think we will, and if he's used off the bench, he's going to be a very handy player if he stays fit, because he's not the fastest, but he knows positions to take up, and he's a very clever footballer. So yeah, like you, I was bouncing and made up of all the players to score. I was so happy it was him, and also happy Mo got his goal too. So now look, all up, just quickly summarizing this game, I think a lot of us probably maybe need to appreciate it, that the players had a lot to deal with emotionally, and I think we forget just how much that might have affected their game. But to come back from, getting pulled back from 2-0 up and then make it 2-2, and then to go and win this, I thought showed incredible bravery and that mentality that won us the league last year. So credit to the guys. Absolutely phenomenal, really, if you think about it. Under the circumstances, I thought they were brilliant.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We had one of our followers, Jacob, who's based in Melbourne. He's been following us from early days. He went over to watch it. Sorry. God, I hope I don't die on the podcast. That'd be terrible, wouldn't it?
You didn't have to bloody listen to me for all the time. I don't think they want that. It's just, come on.
Mate, even in the afterlife, you'd be after me, I promise you. Yeah, no, Jacob went the game. He went with his missus, went to Anfield, and I won't read out what he said, but he absolutely loved it. He said it was an absolutely cracking game. He said, and it looked by all accounts that he had a great time there. So we're going to try and get Jacob on.
That'd be great.
Hopefully next week, and he can tell us all about his experience going to Anfield.
That'd be awesome, mate. I had a very good Scottish mate of mine who lives in Perth in Scotland, Big Red. G'day, Simon. Him and his son jumped in the car Friday, drove all the way down to Merseyside, watched the game. He said it was fantastic to watch it with his son, especially that game. Really beautiful. Great father-son moment. Then obviously drove back later that night back to Scotland. But yeah, he shared some really good stories with me as well. So would have been amazing to be there. Would have been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a good one to be at for sure. So that was Liverpool versus Bournemouth. We've still got loads to come up. Just a reminder, we're going to talk about fantasy football next. We're going to look ahead to that Newcastle game at St James's Park. because it's St James's Park. We're not calling it anything else. St James's Park next week. We're also going to do Reds trivia as well today, so stay tuned for that. We're going to test Wayne. We're going to test you. Fancy football, Wayne. We started a new league, as I said earlier, and well, here's what's happened so far: is in the league I'm in with Chelsea's dad that I won last year, I'm top.
Again.
It's only week one, and by the way, there's still two games to be played, isn't there?
Yeah.
In the calendar.
Yes, actually. Yep.
Everton Leeds, I think.
Yes, and God, who's the other one? No, I think Everton Leeds is the last one. Pretty sure that's it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And then you've got, so there might be a couple of changes to the points, but as of now, I have to say I am far from the top of the table in our Reds Down Under Fancy Football. Currently top is Arnie's what? Which is Josh. Josh got 94 points, which is unbelievable. And Daniel Pazza got 90. So
Wow.
I haven't seen Daniel's team, but maybe he might have a couple of Leeds or Everton players in there and he could overtake him. But I mean, those boys on 94 and 90 are absolutely flying. So they're already like 60 points ahead of me. Although
Lift your game, Tom.
Although Josh did use his triple captain chip.
Okay.
And Mo Salah didn't have the best game in terms of points. So, we'll see. We'll see.
That's all right.
Let's go and talk about this Newcastle game next week, Wayne.
Mate, I'm a firecracker. Let's talk about the most obvious thing first up, shall we? The Isak situation. So, regardless of what's going to happen with that, there's been a lot of venom from both sides online, and it's just only poured fuel on the fire, should I say? I've seen some pretty funny ones from some Newcastle fans online saying how they are going to give us the absolute hiding. I mean, even Gordon after the game kind of, even said that they're gunning for us, especially after what's happening, with this ex. So I think it's going to be a doozy. I think you even said that early on.
It's going to be a doozy. It's going to be they're going to be up for it.
Oh.
And to be fair to them, mate, like Newcastle United are normally up for a big game at St James's Park against Liverpool.
Yes.
It's a game that has thrown up so many great games. I mean, I know we've had some unbelievable ones at Anfield as well, a couple of the 4-3s. But at St James's Park, it's a tough one. I mean, you look a couple of years ago when Darwin Núñez came on, when we had 10 men, he scored that brace to win the game. It's going to be like that. It's going to be hostile. It's going to...
Yes.
I think it's going to feel a bit like a European night at St James's Park. They're really gonna want to beat us.
Oh yeah, and they're gonna they're gonna boo us every chance they get. They're gonna boo us. They're gonna make it very hostile, and thank God we've got a good team. We can handle these situations. So go on.
No, we do. Like I agree with you. We've got a very good team. Let's talk about their team.
Yeah. All right. So obviously there's the big omission right now with Isak, and that they've tried all summer to get a new striker in, and I mean they got obviously Alanga in from Forest, if I remember right. Next week came from, wasn't it? I think it was Forest. But all their big targets, including one that we signed as well. It hasn't really been a great window for them, if we're really honest. I mean, they got what's his name on a free to keeper, Ramsdale, and I can't remember who else they recently signed. But if we look at their team, I mean, they're still packed with quality. They're still a very dangerous side, and even without Isak, they're a dangerous side. But I think he'll be a big miss for any side. But up front, they've got Alenga, who I thought actually played pretty good against Villa on the weekend. Gordon, who's a really good live wire. And to be honest with Gordon, I think he just doesn't have enough end products for how good he is. That's probably my early criticism with him. And obviously Barnes out wide. But look, those guys can score goals and they're quick. To be honest, it's probably more their midfield where I think they're really strongest. Joelinton, Tonali and Gramadish, really good trio. We saw in the League Cup final how they dominated us. So I think they're going to really press hard against us. They love those quick transitions. They're quite a direct team. Joelinton will probably get away with murder like he always does. Never gets booked. But I think having, Gravenberch back on our side will really help us as well. At the back, they're pretty solid defensively as well. I mean, they've got the big man Shah, so, and he kind of killed us in that League Cup final from set pieces. But I think if we can play with our attacking, prowess that we have up front, I think they might struggle. I think they might struggle at the back because we've got very quick, very skillful players. And I think, we saw last season too that we came from 2-1 down to lead 3-2. Or actually, sorry, should I say made it 2-2. And then we're leading 3-2. And obviously just that little howler from Kelleher just right at the end, we would have won that game. So I think that depth-wise, I think we've probably got a bit more depth, crazy enough, options off the bench. I think they're still a very good side. It's going to be very hostile, but I still think we can win there because I think I saw enough of us and what we can do versus them. I think it might be a high-scoring affair, but I think we might edge them personally.
I think you're spot on. I think their defense is solid, but doesn't have pretty much any pace at all. You've got Kieran Trippier was playing right back, I think,
Yes.
against Aston Villa. He's 34, quality footballer, but he's gonna be trying to keep Cody Gakpo locked in. And then you've got Dan Burn and Shah.
Yep.
And then you've got Livramento on the left
Yes.
back position, who's a quality footballer by all means. But yeah, I just think that Liverpool need to unsettle that back four. If we allow them to remain rigid, it's going to be a really tough game because then you've got Guimaraes, who's going to be sitting in there. Joelinton is a strong boy. He's in there. So it's going to be really difficult. So Liverpool need to really open the game as much as possible. And one thing that really stood out to me in the Bournemouth win was a couple of times McAllister and Wirtz had little moments. There was these little moments. It was like little 1-2 bang bang. And Wirtz has not been getting the ball in the right areas yet for me.
Yeah.
He needs to get the ball higher up the pitch where he basically is in a position where he's got Salah, Ekitike and Gakpo. And it's about options. It's about what's the right ball, when do you play the right pass. And I think a lot of the time at the minute, he's sort of at the wrong side of things. He's a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from the delivery into him. We can only go and get the ball so deep before he's isolated and in the wrong area. So I think with Gravenberch in there, I think it's going to... And McAllister with another game's fitness in him. Watching how McAllister and Wirtz play is going to be really interesting. I think that's going to be a key thing. But, mate, the front three in Newcastle do frighten me. They do frighten me for pace. Alanga, Gordon and Barnes with the front three against Newcastle. And I know they're a bit slapstick in front of goal, aren't they, sometimes, these Newcastle lads. That you're spot on, the finishing product isn't quite there from Gordon. Alanga's got some good finishing product, but the three of them will threaten. And I think the big difference in this game, mate, will be Gravenberch.
Yeah,
I think
I
he will
agree.
make the difference, I think.
I'll be curious to see if Bradley's fit and if he starts him, and also if he starts Robbo over Kirkes. I'll be very curious to see if he does that. Um, I think also Bournemouth obviously sat a little bit deeper. The Verts did have to come deep for us, but I think Newcastle will be very physical, and I think they're going to probably make themselves felt. So I'm pretty sure they're going to touch up Verts and Etike quite a bit, and maybe even Frimpong and some of the other new players too. So, uh, but you know, I know a lot of people look at the League Cup final, but I think we don't look at that game because we were in a pretty bad spot, to be honest, going into that game, and I think uh, you look more at the home game where we smacked them. But even when we played there last year, I felt we showed a lot of resilience. So um, I think there will be a lot of huff and puff. I think it'll be quite a high tempo game, but I think I'm going for a 3-2 personally our way. Um, so yeah, it's a tough one though. It is definitely a tough one. But Newcastle, I don't want to say this and come bite us in the ass. Uh, they're a good team. I don't necessarily think they're a great team. So I think we're a better side. So, and I said I think we've got better options off the bench. But once again, another highly emotional game. So it's going to be about level heads, and hopefully the ref does his job. Because Jolinton's going to be on the warpath. So that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can definitely imagine. I can imagine a red card in the game, and to be honest, Joel Linton will probably be my first pick.
Has he ever been sent off?
Prediction. What are you going to go for?
3-2 our way, just edging it.
3-2.
Yep. I think it's going to be one of those crazy Newcastle games, but at St James Park, and I think we'll win it 3-2.
3-2. So I'm going to go for 2-1. I think Liverpool are going to pull the other way a little bit. I think Arnie Slot will rein it in a little bit. Whether you're right, he probably might go Robbo left back and if Bradley's fit at right back, and just solidify things a little bit and get back to the way it was a little bit last season. So I think Liverpool will win the game. I can see a red card. I can see 2-1. I think Liverpool need to be a lot more regimented, and if they are regimented, I think that they will win the game. Last week, I said 4-2. Liverpool had beat Bournemouth 4-2, I said. And I never miss.
You're right, man. You're right.
If you want the lottery numbers for this week, follow Reds Down Under. I'll sort you out. Now, we did a podcast called Fan Stories, with a Man United fan, Liverpool versus Man United, which you can still watch. It's still available.
It's a great episode.
And we had Curtis on, who's a United fan, and we got some really good feedback actually on that podcast. People saying, it was actually good to hear a different perspective and see what our rivals think. So we're gonna maybe do it throughout the season a few times, and we have today. We've got DG on, who is based in Melbourne, and he's a massive Newcastle fan. And I used to work for him, and when I was working for him, it was when they were getting really good, and they finished fourth. And I kept saying, we'll catch us, and obviously we never. They finished in fourth. So let's hear from DG and hear from the away end what he thinks is going to happen in this game between Newcastle and Liverpool. Right, DG, mate, you're a big Newcastle fan. You don't get many big Newcastle fans in Australia. Why the devil are you a Newcastle fan when you could have picked someone like Liverpool?
Well, you didn't tell me you were going to start like that then. That threw me. Pick someone like Liverpool. Mate, I am an Australian-born Melburnian, so I follow AFL. Passionate Magpie fan, so passionate that I'm a global Magpie fan. I believe there's a Portugal football team in about C Division. There's a South American Magpie team, so Newcastle was my chosen team. But I've supported them right since, well, I'm giving away my age, but I go back to the Alan Shearer, Les Ferdinand days. So I'm not just there for the Saudi takeover. I've listened to it on radio and gone through the championship and lots of hard years.
Loads of hard years, which is a bit of a contrast, mate, from being a Collingwood fan, which is like, you know, you lot win pretty much everything, don't you, to be fair. I mean, the last couple of years, let's talk about the last couple of years, because since the Saudi money's come in, you got a lot of criticism, and every club who gets big investment gets a lot of criticism. But how are you feeling about how the last couple of years has gone and how the club's progressing?
Well, it's rejuvenated my love for sport in general. When you grow up as an AFL fan, you don't understand the tiered system. You're in the league. So the whole, you can always have hope theory. I've learnt in the last 10 years, 15 years, so to listen to it on radio because they're not televising it, and then to actually get the opportunity to see investment, it's a beautiful thing. You look at the Wrexham journey, like we've lived that with Newcastle. So it's been a wonderful fan journey, mate, and I could only imagine what it's like to actually live in Newcastle and be a Toon. But, mate, it's been great. It's been a great journey to go from where we were to Champions League the first year and then just miss out. And it's been a truly a great ride.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, DG, I've always, and my brother's the same, and I think a lot of Scousers are the same, we've got sort of a soft spot for Newcastle. Like, there's a friendliness to it, you know what I mean? We're similar people in many ways.
I've learnt that, Tommy, which is weird for me because in Australia, everyone hates Collingwood. And I've learnt that, to be a Newcastle fan, it's okay.
Yeah, I know. And you're from Melbourne, you know what I mean? It's double bubble. Yeah. Everyone hates you. No, only joking, mind you know. But, I mean, like, I could never remember. I mean, I'm sure it's in the last, you'll be able to tell me better, but it's definitely in the last 20 years, 30 years maybe, that Newcastle have won a major trophy. You beat us in the final last year.
Yeah, I think it was 50 years for a trophy, but 70 for a domestic.
Wow.
For the Carabao Cup last year. So it was, I felt the passion, let alone, as I said, growing up a Toon fan, like it was quite remarkable, mate. Yeah, but I think those figures are right. Someone might correct me, but I think they're about right.
So, I mean, obviously, look, you've won the League Cup, and that's amazing for Newcastle Football Club. They're a good club, and they should be winning trophies. Where's your head at with expectations now? Because the Saudi money has completely changed the game. This season, what would be your realistic expectations for what the Toon can do?
I think it's, from my perspective, it's probably a bit like last year. You're probably fighting for that 4th to 6th spot. I think from watching perspective, it's just great to have genuine good players. Like, watching, I'm not the most elite. I don't have the most elite knowledge of the game, but being able to watch with Guimaraes and players of his caliber in the middle, Joe Linton's coming on. Like, it's actually really nice to watch quality football rather than sort of watching the list we had before. So from my perspective, just as long as we're competing. But I think the comp's going to get better this year. I think, Man United, depending on how they go with the manager and their list is better. They've had a good transfer period. You'd expect Tottenham to be better. Chelsea have spent more money than, or maybe not as much as you guys, but I think it's going to get harder. So I think we'll fight for that 4 to 6 spot. So if you're in the battle for that, hopefully it might fall your way with 5 spots and you get there again. But I don't know. Like it's PSR makes it a challenge, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a funny one, the PSR, because they obviously brought it in to try and protect the competition and make sure that we didn't have situations like the Saudi money coming in, but it's made it so difficult for clubs. Everton 10 years ago to break in, they finished 4th, and then they sort of tailed off after that. And Newcastle and even Tottenham, who've spent a lot of money on a new stadium as well. The PSR is really difficult, and you look at Liverpool, Manchester United, they're guaranteed to bring in a lot of money, you know what I mean, which sort of sorts the PSR out. Let's talk about the game this weekend.
Yeah, excited.
because,
gonna be
man, I'm buzzing.
It's going to be a frosty atmosphere, isn't it?
It's not going to be the friendliest atmosphere. I mean, what sort of game are you expecting? Are you expecting a bit of a feisty one?
Yeah, well, hopefully Gordon gets in amongst it and causes some problems, and you might get some bit of feistiness. But I don't know. Look, I'd expect the emotions to be pretty up there. I would imagine St James's Park. I think it's a late game. It's a bank holiday, I think, too. So hopefully the Toon Army have a good 6 pints before the game, so it'll be very rowdy. But look, you've got more knowledge than I do in the game, but it's about the midfield, really. I think that's what we showed in the Cup last year. If we can get a hold of the midfield, it's game on, and I think our defensive structure is pretty good. So I think if we can keep it tight, you never know. Last week probably showed that, we're pretty awful up front without Isak up there and no real contest. But I think, if Langer and Gordon can create some problems on the ground, then their pace is going to be pretty good. And, you only need one. And if you can keep the clean sheet, then, maybe it is a bit tighter. But yeah, that's my read on it. What do you think?
Yeah, mate. It's funny enough. We've got a Liverpool fan, surprise, that we're doing the podcast with, and we had a really in-depth chat about this as well. And Newcastle's defence is going to be solid. It's not blessed with a lot of pace, and I think it depends on how the game of football is played on the night. Liverpool, I think, will really try to unsettle that Newcastle back four as much as possible, and try and. I know Kieran Trippier he's a really good footballer, but really try and unsettle him on that left side. I think with Cody Gakpo on the left, and Ekitike likes to pull left as well. So that might be an area for Liverpool, but Newcastle's midfield is solid. Is Tonali fit? Is he playing?
Yeah, Tonali's fit, played really well last week. I haven't seen anything from last week, but I think if Livramento did the job on Salah last in the Cup, didn't he? Was that, if that can happen again. But I think you're right. The pace is be interesting if Chow, I think is that how you pronounce it, our new centre-back. I doubt Howe doesn't tend to bring in new players straight away, but they might be forced to for what you said, because Big Dan Burn, you don't want to see him turn sideways, and Botman not fit as well. Like, there's always the question marks there. So they might be forced to bring him onto the bench, and you never know. But that pace is a bit of a problem.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, mate, I think the pace of both ends of the pitch is a really interesting one, because down your end, mate, Harvey Barnes played mostly from the left, didn't he, against Aston Villa, and Gordon in the middle, and a Langer on the right. And I tell you what, mate, I wouldn't want to mark those lads. I wouldn't fancy it. I mean, I'm a bit out of shape these days, but even at my best.
Yeah, well, I think Dan Burn would give you a run for your money, in all fairness. But me too. I'm certainly not throwing stones at that glass house. But I think that's right. And if we can keep it tight, and again, it comes back to that midfield. If Tonali, Joe Linton causes a lot of problems, and geez, he's a box-to-box midfielder, he works so hard. And, if he could keep that effort, then, you maybe provide a bit of coverage. But, it'd be interesting to see if what they do with Langer and Murphy. I heard listened to a couple of podcasts, and there was a bit of debate about whether Murphy's better starting and then Langer coming on. But there was a couple of really nice crosses along the ground to Gordon, one beautiful one that I reckon they'll probably find that they'll probably go with Langer. He's just too quick and probably something special. But I don't think his finishing is much to be delighted upon, so I'm not sure. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they go. And Harvey Barnes wasn't that good last week, but he doesn't usually go very often without a go. So I don't know. It's a bit unusual without the Swede up front, which no doubt we'll talk about. But yeah, that's our problem, isn't it?
Well, let's do it, baby. Let's talk about Isak, because obviously, I'm a Liverpool fan anyway, so I follow loads of different pages on TikTok and Instagram and whatever. So my algorithm is Liverpool Football Club, and doing the podcast, it's wall to wall, and Isak is just on everyone's lips. It's a really difficult situation in some ways, because I can imagine it was our player and how I would be feeling. So as a Newcastle fan, mate, What's your position on the whole thing?
It's so complex. It's very different for me to experience this in football. Like you realise you've got to develop players, and I guess that's why we probably came to us in the first instance. Yet, as a fan, you feel like you're not far from competing. And if you can hold on to him, and suddenly our transfer period probably wasn't that bad. Like it looked a joke for a while. Every time we'd go to get a player, we'd have them stolen by you with TK and then the Sesko with the Man United, and whether or not we were playing in the wrong division, trying to get these players that may not be coming. But that's what you want to see as a fan. But then you've added to our squad. Ramsey comes in. You've got Chow down back. You've got probably another striker coming in, hopefully by the window. Like you've added depth to a squad. So it feels like you can compete. So if you hold on to Isak, then you're right in amongst it. Then on the other hand, if he goes for what should be 130, 140, 150, you bring in another striker, which obviously we're late in the window now. Same thing, if he's got 25 goals and you can bring in a Wisa and another one, are they going to combine for 35? And then you've got money to go and get, so your squad gets better. I've probably come to terms with that and realised that you might actually compete on that front. But the problem is management has just let us down. Whatever's going on in the back room, your CEO resigns a year ago. Like, fancy not replacing that. Then the sports director goes, it's you and me negotiating that Isak salary, and by all accounts, his manager's out of control, looking for his last payday. So it's a horrible situation that to be a fan, it's not good and then you can't read what's true, what's not. So yeah, difficult one, mate.
Is there any situation in your mind that he stays and fights on as a Newcastle player, or do you think it's a done deal?
I kind of like the bravado now of the Saudi management saying, you behave like an idiot, pull your socks up and come back and make him stay. But at the same time, yeah, it's a really hard thing. I think Howe is the type of manager to bring him back in, and he's proven to be a really good man manager. So if Howe can do that, the squad's tight. Like, by all accounts, it's a very, very close-knit squad. That can break a squad, but I think it'll probably play the opposite. So I think if he's going to stay, that says the manager thinks he can reintroduce Isak. And, you read reports that he was unsettled last year for the back half, where his output wasn't as good as the first half. And you probably take that if you bring in a Wissa or someone else. And isn't that funny? We're trying to pinch a bloke who's doing exactly the same thing as Isak.
It's exactly the same situation. And you know what I would say, mate, and as a consolation as a football fan, when I look at it, I think Isak's a very, very, very good footballer. And I think if he goes to Liverpool, I think he's going to keep going, right? But when you look at it just as numbers, the numbers he's bringing in for Newcastle, they're not sensational. I don't think. I think he's a really top player, and he's doing really well for Newcastle. But I think for that money, if Newcastle could go and get 3 lads who could put the ball in the right spot, or really, get the next centre back or the next right back, for when Trippier goes, it could be absolutely huge for the club. Right, I'm going to put you on the spot, DG. What's the score going to be, mate?
Well, obviously it'll be nothing else but 3 points for the Magpies. I couldn't bring myself to go either way, but look, I mean, it's a one. If we're going to win, it's got to be 1-0, or we've got to keep a clean sheet. I think if we let you guys sort of free and roaming, then it could end up, pretty bad. But I don't think that, the midfield's strong. We've proven to be able to do it. So yeah, 1-0 if we can get the result. But I wouldn't like to see a score fest, because I don't know if we can put 2-3 into the back of the net with the problems up front until that's sorted. So I'd be looking to try and keep the clean sheet off the back of last week's clean sheet as well, mate.
Yeah, it's I went for 2-1 myself. I think it's gonna be a tight one. Well, look, mate. Hopefully Liverpool win. Obviously, 1-0. Dan Baird on goal. I'd take it. With his big fat head. But look, mate. Good luck for the rest of the season. I hope you have a cracking season, Newcastle. You're a great club, and you deserve it, mate. And thanks for coming on. And if you guess the score right, I'll buy you a pint next time I see you. How about that?
We'll make it 2 because Alanga will probably score and we need a new hero there, so that might be 2.
There you go. All right. Well, Alanga as well, then, if you fancy it. Cheers, DG, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks very much, DG. Not biased at all. Not biased at all. Fair fella. Fair fella.
Good lad. Good lad.
Now, we have a return, and we're not allowed to call this Take It to the Max anymore because Max doesn't like it. So let's play Take It to the Max. Now, Wayne, as I say, he runs a website, Liverpool Australia, and they've been running 27 years. You can get all your live news updates from reliable sources on there. So Wayne is clued in. Wayne knows everything, top to bottom, about Liverpool.
I do.
So we're gonna do trivia. He did warn me. He said, I'm not good at trivia, so I thought I'd set him up. Get your pens and your pencils out. We're gonna do it slightly different this week. I'm gonna ask the question, and then we're gonna do the answer. So rather than do the questions and then do the answers, which takes forever, we're gonna do questions and then answers. So get your questions in, get your answers into your questions rather quick. All right, question 1 in Take It to the Max. Who holds the Liverpool clean sheet record with 323 clean sheets? Which is an absolutely unbelievable feat when you think about it. Unbelievable. 323.
Amazing.
Most players don't even get 323 appearances. Unbelievable. By Sander Westerveld. I'll give you a clue. It's not Sander Westerveld. Sander, I loved you. I love you still. Even though you did play for Everton.
Yes.
Are you ready for the answer, Wayne?
I am.
All right, what have you got?
I put down Ray Clements.
It was Ray Clements. It was Ray Clements. And I think Alisson Becker holds the European Cup clean sheet record for Liverpool, which is 20, I think.
Correct.
Right.
That's one. That's one.
That's one. Yeah, you're off. You're off to an absolute flyer. You're off to a flyer. Question number 2. Who was the last senior player to transfer between Liverpool and Newcastle United? Who was the last senior player to transfer between Liverpool and Newcastle United? Now, there has been a couple of players who've sort of been loaned between clubs for the under-18s. But we're looking for the last first team player.
Wow.
Wayne's in struggle town here.
I think I might have the wrong era.
Have you got your answer?
Hang on.
Go on, I'll give you 5 more seconds.
No. I think he went to another club first. But I was going to say a certain Spanish fullback, but no, I don't think it was. Okay, anyway.
I think I know what Spanish fullback you're talking about. Who did you go for?
As I said, I think I've got this completely wrong, but I was going to say Ian Rush, but no, I think I'm completely wrong there.
Who'd you go for?
Ian Rush.
Ian Rush?
Didn't he end up there? I'm pretty sure he ended up there once, or maybe that was Leeds. Oh, God, I can't remember. See, this is what I'm telling you. I'm crap at trivia. Who was it, Tom?
It was Genie Wijnaldum. Newcastle United were relegated and Liverpool swept in.
Told you it was the wrong era.
I didn't even really know anything about the player at all when we signed him. And what a signing. What a signing it was.
Just want to put one quick little caveat in here, okay? My website's credibility has nothing to do with my own mental trivial capacity, okay?
Yeah, it's because you get the best sources. You're not the best source.
No, I'm not.
The questions are hard because you're under a bit of pressure. All right, you're on a podcast.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
You've got at least 1,000 people here watching
That's
it.
right. That's
All
right.
right. And if you're watching this episode in the future, there could be 20 million people watching us. Who knows?
That's right. That's
Who
right.
knows?
Thank you.
So much
This
pressure.
is all recorded down for history. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Question number 3 then. After leaving Liverpool, which club did Kevin Keegan sign for directly? Wayne's looking confident on that one.
It's the old stuff I get. The older stuff's easy. My brain's mush. It's my kid's fault. I love them. Anyway.
Don't watch this, kids. As long as they're not one of the 1,000, we'll be all right.
We might need to edit that bit out.
After which club did Kevin Keegan sign for directly? Go on then, what is it, Wayne?
Hamburg.
It was Hamburg. He left in, what year was it, 78?
Oh, yeah, I was 6 years old.
78.
Yeah,
Went to
I think
Hamburg, didn't he? He won two Ballon d'Ors, I think, after he
yes.
left Liverpool. Kevin Keegan. Question number 4. El Hadj Diouf, the most hated man in Liverpool. Maybe the most hated man in Liverpool. El
Probably.
Hadj Diouf represented which country at international level? El Hadj Diouf represented which country at international level? Liverpool signed him in 2002 after the World Cup in Japan and South Korea.
Oh my gosh, no, I think I've got this wrong.
Instead of signing Nicolas Anelka, we signed El Hadj Diouf.
Yes, that worked out well. No. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, mate. Who did El Hadj Diouf represent at international level?
I'm going to say Senegal, but I don't think that's right. I think it's either Senegal. No, I'm going to stick with Senegal, but I don't think it was. I think it was Cameroon. Nah,
You sure?
it's Senegal.
It is Senegal.
Yes,
Well
okay.
played.
Yes.
Trusted your gut there, mate.
Oh, was Salif Diao? He was also Senegalese, wasn't he, as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the nice one.
Yeah, I think he was really popular with the boys, wasn't he? Salif Diao.
Mhm. He still plays Legends game from time to time, I notice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's better now than he was then. He's getting better with age.
He is, definitely.
Now, we don't talk about the women's team often on this podcast.
No.
But can you tell me how many women's Super League titles Liverpool women have won? It's tough, that. That's really tough. That's a really tough question.
Okay.
I think there's going to be an array of answers on that one.
Yeah.
We'll see how many people get that right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might be wrong here, but I might. I don't know why you're saying that. I think I know why you're saying that.
It's tough. It's a tough
It
question.
is.
Because in the women's game, like you had Everton and Arsenal was so big for so long. Then City, Chelsea. Chelsea are the best in the world, arguably at the minute, aren't they?
Mhm.
Arsenal are there. It's tough for Liverpool women. They haven't really caught up much.
No.
All right, mate. How many women's Super League titles have they won?
If I'm correct, I've won one.
They won in 2013
Mm-hmm.
and 2014. They won back to back.
They won back to back. Okay.
And they were the only ones they've won. So the answer was 2.
I did all right. 3 out of 5. It's not bad.
3 out of 5. Good, man.
Better than 0.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Everyone at home, let us know. Comment on the video below. Let us know how many you got right in Red Trivia, a.k.a. Take it to the max. This is a Reds Down Under announcement for all supporters. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on TikTok, Facebook and Instagram, give us a review on Spotify, Apple and Amazon. Thank you. We try and do special segments now, don't we, on the podcast? So obviously the weekly show, we're following what's happening every week. So Some weeks we'll be playing one game, some weeks we might have 3 games a week. So we'll be always talking about those games. But what we really want to do as well is talk about these special subjects that we can, from any sort of point in the club. This week we're talking about captains. And when you're a football club like Liverpool, you have a lot of really successful captains, don't you?
Oh yeah, you do. Yes.
So when you started watching Liverpool back in 1945, who was
46. Give me a break.
who was the captain that you remember first? Like, who was your first era captain?
So, I mean, probably didn't remember him, but when I started following them in '86, the FA Cup one, it was Alan Hansen at the time, because obviously Kenny was the player manager back then. I'm pretty sure. Yes, he was. So, but to be honest, probably the first captain beyond that would have been, like, as far as like really getting to know was, I think, was Ronnie Whelan captain for a brief period there when Roy Evans kind of even that would have been Graham Souness, sorry, around that time. So, but look, probably etched into my brain as far as like the first captain that I guess I really kind of took notice of, and it's probably also more to do with the fact that there was more television coverage as we drew more into the late '90s, and everything was probably like a Sammy Hupia was a captain around then. But yeah, but if you want to talk about great captains, I guess from my perspective, um, I loved Graham Souness. I was probably a bit too young to get to see him properly, but I've obviously, caught up with a lot with that. Graham had it all. He had the power and the skill and, the goal scoring ability of Gerrard, but the toughness as well. I mean, if you think Gerrard was tough, Souness was tougher. The guy was an absolute monster. There's some, incredible footage, of him doing keepy uppies when they were playing in some very hostile, I think, Eastern Bloc state country. He didn't care. Even as a manager when he was in Turkey, I think it was he Fenerbahce or Galatasaray manager? I can't remember which one. But he went to their main rivals, and literally after they won, he planted the flag in the middle of the ground, and he didn't care. Tough player, amazing footballer though. Like literally on the ball, he was brilliant. Could score goals, a real leader. But yeah, but there's more other captains. But I'll let you maybe talk about your captain if you want.
Before I do, Graham Souness, there's a brilliant video and it pops up every now and again on Instagram, and it's when he's playing for Rangers, and it's the most outrageously bad tackle in the
I know which one
SPL.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
They're playing like Aberdeen or someone, and it's just the most disgusting tackle ever. But
Not
a
even a
little
booking.
part of me
It's not a
says,
booking.
oh, I wish football was more like that now.
There's no bookings. There's no bookings. It's just basically the ref talking,
Yeah.
and then they get up and shake hands. It's like, yeah, he it was different back then.
Yeah.
Absolutely different. Yeah, super tough. But yeah, but what a player, and what a manager. Sorry, what a captain he was, not a manager. So yeah, but if you ask me, strong captains as well. Alan Hansen was magnificent. Before Virgil, he is probably our greatest ever defender. I was so pleased to see him hand Virgil the trophy last season at Anfield. I think that was just beautiful. And then the fact that Virgil even said he wanted Alan to do it was amazing. I'm very grateful that Alan's also recovered from his health and he's still with us. But we've had some brilliant captains. I'm not going to go for Mr. Obvious, because I loved him more as a player than a captain, to be honest. But I thought Hendo is a very underrated captain. I mean, was captain through some of the most successful period. He did something no other captain in our history has ever done, which is win the club world championship, club World Cup, amongst other things. He was brilliant, and I loved Hendo. I think Virgil Virgil wasn't my first choice as captain, to be honest, but he's proven himself. He's been a fantastic leader on and off the pitch as well. Um, he's just, his calmness and his leadership, he doesn't even need to really shout. He just oozes it, and I think it just infects the other players. He's been brilliant. Enough of me talking captains. What about you?
Yeah, Van Dijk. Van Dijk to me was probably the natural pick. I thought at the time, just because if he's your main centre back and he's fit, he's playing. So it made sense to me that Van Dijk will be played, and I think he's proven, as you say, to be a really good captain. He's been a great captain. He's put pieces of silver in the cabinet, which is the most important job. In from a football point of view, I think the way that he's behaved, winning the league, and behaved after Jota, I think has only sort of imprinted him as one of our actually. I mean, I know that's recency bias, but established himself actually as a great Liverpool captain.
Oh,
No
yeah.
matter what he wins in the future. Getting that goal in the League Cup final against Chelsea when he was playing with 10 kids.
Yeah.
Basically, he was playing with 10 kids. We had a second choice goalkeeper in goal. You know, it was tough, but we were resilient, and he pops up with that magic moment. Jordan Henderson, unbelievable. He won 7 major honours at the club. Obviously, Premier League, Champions League, and the Club World Cup, as you say, European Super Cup in there, a couple of domestics as well.
Yes.
What the thing that really stood out to me with Jordan Henderson was like he was an underdog, and I don't mean to like knock him because he was a really good footballer in his own right, Jordan Henderson, but he won't be remembered as a great footballer, I don't think, but he'll be remembered as a great captain and a winner.
Yeah.
You know, and when COVID happened and they were playing the game behind closed doors, and you could hear the pitch, and you could hear him all game, go, press, push,
Yeah.
you know, hold, you know, you could hear him running the game. And I think I loved that. I really loved it because, you know, I was quite lucky when I was younger. I played with some really good footballers who used to communicate like footballers, you know. And Jordan Henderson was just out of this world. We don't get to see that. We're not privy to that. But to see Jordan Henderson do that was unbelievable. And to lift the first, you know, look, we've won 20 league titles, but the tag of not winning the Premier League was on our back for so long, and it's just a rebrand. I don't care. It's the same. It's
Exactly.
the championship. It's the same football championship that my dad's seen us win so many times at Anfield. But to be the first to do that, you know, and to have to do it in a closed stadium and all that, but just an absolute legend. Wayne, what to you makes a great captain?
Oh, I think it's a lot of things. I think it's like you said, you don't have to be the best player on the pitch. But what you need to do though is you need to lead by example, and you need to be there for your teammates. So even that doesn't mean you can't make mistakes, but when you do make mistakes, you make yourself accountable and you lift your game. But there's just so much more that happens, like you said, off the field that we don't see, that we don't know. So I think if you look at all the captains we've had, different personalities, but one common trait is that they're all humble, grounded. All right. They were never ever thinking they're the best ever and like, you know, too big for the club. I think that's fair to say for most of them. But as I said, there's a responsibility as a captain to, you know, I like my captains to be shouty. You know, I used to play like that. I think Jordan Henderson is probably a great example of me. Not the greatest player, but a very damn good captain, right? So I used to shout a lot. I used to organize my teammates a lot, you know, and I think it's not just barking orders, it's encouraging as well. And, you know, you'll see even with Hendo and and Virgil, they never switch off. They're always telling, after the goal, hey, focus, organize. But I think also what makes a good captain is that regardless of who's playing around them, they can inspire them. All right. Now, I guess when you think of that type of captain, a couple of names more than others probably come to mind. Obviously, Steven Gerrard, probably Kenny Dalglish as well when he was captain too. Those kinds of players. So you need, as I said, when you inspire other players, it's not necessarily about you taking on 10 players and scoring a goal Messi style. Sometimes it's just basically, protecting another player. Sometimes it's about, getting into the ref's face and, basically pulling him up on something or, those kinds of things. So we've been really blessed at Liverpool to have a lot of unofficial captains, especially in recent years. We've had some incredible leaders. Robbo is captain of Scotland. Mo Salah's captain of Egypt, right? We've had, James Milner, who was a fantastic leader, just brilliant, that guy. But we had a lot of those types of players, strong leaders on the pitch throughout, and I think, so any one of them really, in my opinion, could have made a really good captain. So yeah, that those, I guess, kinds of personalities, I guess that's what makes a really good captain.
Yeah. Like, I understand why sometimes players who are not bullish and loud and screamers could make a good captain. You look at Lionel Messi for Barcelona. I don't think I ever really seen Lionel Messi shout at anyone. Maybe
No.
maybe the odd time, but but he led by example. He picked up the team when he seen that the boys were struggling, and he took them with him. He didn't do it at Anfield in 2019, but
Nope.
hey, what could you do? You know what I mean? Unlucky. You were good, but we were better. And you look at players like that, and they're like nice captains. You look at, like, I seen Martin Odegaard at Arsenal recently getting a tough time from Tony Adams, who's saying he reckons that Arsenal will never win the Premier League if Odegaard's the captain. He's too nice. And that is the criticism if you don't win. It's really tough to be a nice captain if you don't win, because people will go, oh, well, he's not a winner and he's not a leader and stuff like that. Steven Gerrard, like people say about Steven Gerrard, is he was quiet. Jamie Carragher did a lot of the shouting.
Yes.
And having met Jamie a few times, I can imagine it.
Oh
He
yeah.
was really quiet, nice bloke. By the way, when I met him, I'm not saying Jamie Carragher was screaming down any sort of place.
He is like that.
But-
Yes.
But he's a Scouse lad. He's from Bootle. The club means everything to him. He's passionate, like. But what Stevie managed to do was what Lionel Messi did for Barcelona was he'd take us, he'd take you, he'd take the team. You could see that in Istanbul. You could see that against West Ham in that cup final. But so many times, so many games we played, Stevie would pop up out of nowhere and get a goal out of nowhere. And people forget that, like, in the last 10 minutes of games, I don't know what the stats are. Someone out there send me the stats. But I don't know how many goals Steven Gerrard scored in the last 10 minutes of games.
Yeah.
I'd
Much
say
goals.
it's quite high.
Oh yes, definitely.
So for me, that's why Stevie G, in my lifetime anyway, is my favorite captain. He was the captain at a time when, over the span of his leadership, we had some great players, but we didn't always have great players. But Stevie G was pretty much always there, like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who? I mean, you've mentioned quite a few captains there. Before I ask you this question, I mean, Ron Yates, 2 league titles, Emlyn Hughes, 2
Crazy horse.
European Cups, 3
Oh.
league titles. Phil Thompson,
Real talk.
first Scouser to lift the European Cup as a captain.
Yes. Actually, I've
And
got a
he
question
won.
for you. I've got a very quick question for you. Very quick question. Sorry, just made me think of
Go
something.
on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Go
interrupt.
on, you can ask.
Do you think it's important, or not important? Maybe do you think it's better? That's probably the thing. Better to have a Scouse captain or a captain who's Scouse.
Is it important to have would I rather have a
Or
Scouse
better,
captain?
or better, yeah. Do you think it's better to have a Scouse captain?
Is it better to have a Scouse captain than someone else who's not a Scouser as your captain? Personally, as a Scouser, I would like a Scouse captain. So when I look at the future of the football club, I think I looked at Trent. I looked at Trent and I thought, he's the one. He's a Scouser. He's a great player. He's done it. He'll do it again. Trent. And now I look at it and I look at like Curtis Jones, and I'm not knocking Curtis Jones. I like him. It's going to be really tough for Curtis Jones to get into that midfield as a consistent player for the next couple of years, for sure. Like,
Yep.
And that sort of puts a bit of a knock in that. But ideally, like in like this like romantic way, I would like a Scouse captain. But then, to be honest, I don't care where the players are from. I don't care where the manager's from. I don't care who the fella sitting next to me in the ground. I don't care where he's from. So, as long as they live and breathe the football club, I think you can be from anywhere. To be honest with you, like as long as you represent our football club in the way that it needs to be represented, I don't really care. I would like us to have a Scouse owner.
Yep.
Fella who's done really well, runs a telecommunications company. Decide. I don't know. I was going to say oil, but it's a touchy subject, oil, so I'm not going to stay away from oil. But, Scouse guy does well, buys the club, but it's unrealistic. And I don't mind that our owners are from Boston. And to be honest, I quite like it. It's given me this little thing for the Red Sox. I don't even watch baseball. I don't even understand the rules of baseball. Jack wore a Boston Red Sox cap on the podcast last week.
Such a wall.
So, yeah, just to alienate all the Yankee fans out there. But, yeah, we don't live in a dream world. We live in the real world. And as long as Liverpool Football Club consistently, whether it's from a fan base or from a playing staff, management staff perspective, bring the best people into our club who want to represent it, then you can be from absolutely anywhere you want.
Yep.
As
Well
long
said.
as you're not from Manchester.
Yeah. Or support Everton.
Yeah. I mean, that was a long answer. I'm sorry about that, Wayne.
No. It's a good one.
Who would be your? I mean, you've mentioned a few, and I'm sorry if you've already mentioned them, but
That's right.
who would be your favourite all-time captain?
All right. I'm going to go with Kenny Dalglish.
Yeah.
The king. I love the man to pieces. I think he was right up there with Gerrard as far as a player. Obviously, I've only seen, like highlights and stuff and matches in my older years, but I just love the man, who he is and what he represents. I think he's our greatest servant personally, just for what he's done, not just on the field, but just also off the field. I think he's just a beautiful person. But no, he is, and he still is a captain in some ways. He's such an amazing ambassador for this club and what we stand for, and the people of Liverpool too. He's my opinion. And what I loved about him is that he went from a player captain to a player manager, and he did it all. And was successful in everything that he did. So yeah, Kenny's the one for me.
Kenny, yeah. I mean, look, I've got a list here. Emlyn Hughes,
Great, crazy
serial
horse,
winner.
unbelievable.
2 European Cups, 3 league titles. Tommy Smith, 4 league titles and 1
Ha-
European Cup.
Hardest
And
man ever.
hardest bloke ever, other than me dad, because me dad would beat anyone up. All right.
All right. Remind me never to piss your dad off.
Yeah, don't piss me dad off.
Hey,
Yeah.
Dave. Love you, Mel.
Yeah, he was on, wasn't he, the other week? And I said, "Oh, Dad, we'll have to get you on again." He went, "Yeah." He said, "I'll wait a bit first, and then I'll come back on." So I went, "Oh, all right, okay." Yeah, Tommy Smith, hardest man in football, scored in the European Cup final against Mönchengladbach in
Do you know,
1977.
I got to stop you there. I just realized something. I had to do a bit of a fact check on me.
78.
I've,
Yeah?
I think I made a big boo-boo because Kenny was never our captain. There you go. Stuff that
Oh, there
up.
you go.
I could have sworn he was. No, he wasn't. Could have
Right,
sworn he was.
you've got one word. You've just got to throw me a captain who you love.
All right, one word. Here we go. Ready?
Yep.
Graham Souness.
Graham Souness. Wrong answer. All right, Graham Souness, great captain,
Yes.
great fella.
Yep.
Great pundit, actually. I really like Graham Souness because he hated Paul Pogba as well. Now that's pretty much all we've got this week for the weekly show. We'll be back next week for what will be Aston Villa, which is another tough one, isn't it? And then we go into the international
That's at home, right? Yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
So then we go into the international break, but don't worry, don't fret, because we've got some stuff ready to go for that. So don't worry about that.
We got you covered.
You'll be looked after. And next week, I can't reveal a guest yet, but we've got a guest on who was in an absolutely global band, and in the 90s they were winning massive awards. They're really big, but I can't say who it is yet, but
Nope.
they'll be on next week. So we'll be talking about all things Liverpool and all things music as well. And from the early conversations I've had with the guy, he's really open. So it's gonna be a cracker. And before I go as well, I'll be in Newcastle next week on Saturday for the Craig Johnson event that he's doing. An evening with Craig Johnson up there in Newcastle.
That's Newcastle in New South Wales, folks, not Newcastle on Tyneside.
Yeah. If you're in Newcastle, England, or thinking about going there, I'd probably give it a miss for a couple of weeks because you get your out done in. We're probably not very popular up there at the minute.
Nope.
So yeah, we're going up there. Me, Dad, and Jack are going up there with Reds Down Under, and I've got me and Jack a couple of new t-shirts made up, which
They look mint.
they're pretty good. That should
Not
be
for
for sale or anything. They're just for us to wear.
That should be a brilliant night in Newcastle, and if there's still tickets available, so just go online and look up the Craig Johnston story. He's got an amazing story, and he's always got something new to say. So I don't think you've heard it all with Craig. Definitely go. It'll be a fantastic night.
Yeah, absolutely cracking fella and a legend. Wayne, before you go, mate, give us a quick plug. Where can people find you?
You can find me at the L Files, obviously, our website, which is liverpoolaustralia.com.au, and also online on Twitter, or X as it's known, at LFC_Australia. Yep. Come online, say hi. We're one of the good people on there, not like all the other idiots. And I also, this podcast, remember, share with your mates, like it, follow it, subscribe. Like, follow, subscribe, okay? You've been told.
Thanks very much. Mate.
Not as convincing as Jack, but I can find where you live, all right? So, yeah, it's part of my J job. Anyway, that's another story. Okay.
All right, mate. Look, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks to everyone again for coming and watching the weekly show.
Yep.
We love yous. It's it's great that I get to come and talk about Liverpool every week. So we're just going to keep doing it.
Yes.
Wayne, up the Reds, lad.
Up the Reds. Up the
Before
Reds.
I go,
What?
quick one.
Yes.
I can't go and not say it. Message a mate. When you finish the podcast, message a mate who you haven't spoke to in a while and just say, hey, mate, how you doing? Men's mental health is such an important thing. And sometimes the thing that can sway you from having a really bad day to having an okay day is your mate messaging you and going, you know, how shit was Canate the other day? Something like that, whatever you want to message them
It's
for.
it.
But please do message a mate. It's really important.
Talking is important. It's actually a scientific proven fact that talking is the first step towards positive mental health. Okay?
Yeah. And to be honest, I talk a lot, so my mental health must be really good.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Love you. I'll see you next time.
We'll do, brother. Have a good one. Up the Reds.
Cheers, Wayne. Up the Reds, lads. Up the Reds.
We are the